Okay, good morning to everybody and welcome to the English class. Your first flight textbook in English for class 10. In the previous class, we have started with chapter number 4 from your first flight book from the diary of Anne Frank. Before we proceed with the chapter, let us just go back and revise what we have covered in the last session. We have done about Anne Frank, her family, and about the most important thing from this lesson, that is the diary, which she named as Kitty. And why did she name that diary as Kitty? Because she did not have any friends. Though she had many friends, but she did not consider them as true friends. But this diary, which was gifted to her on her 13th birthday, she considered this diary as her only true friend. And then she mentions everything about her childhood, her family, and lot many things that she did not tell anybody else. She kept it as secret. We learned about the characters from this lesson. The first main character is Anne Frank, because this is an autobiography. Then we have Margaret Frank, her sister, Otto Frank, her father, Mrs. Frank and mother, Mr. Van Daan, a Jewish businessman and an an associate of Mr. Frank, excuse me, and Mr. Casing, Anne's teacher, who punishes her because of her talkative nature. So Anne Frank, she was a 13-year-old Jewish girl who was born on 12th June 1929, Frankfurt, Germany, and who writes a diary while she's hiding in Amsterdam from Nazis during the World War II. And she died on Feb 4th, 1945. That means she was alive only for 16 years. She lived only for 16 years. She and her family, along with other 4 friends, moved to Netherlands from Germany after Adolf Hitler and the Nazis came into power in the year 1933, who made their life hell. That means who made their life increasingly difficult for those Jews. And Adolf Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany. And then there was a Nazi government which came into existence. And these Nazis were the ones who used to hate the Jewish people and who ill treated them. Okay, this story is based on the background of the World War II, and then moreover focuses on the way how she survives there for 2 years and depicts all her experiences and events in her diary. She tells us that though she has many friends, she did not have any true friends so that she can share all her experiences. So when she got this diary on her birthday, and she was in need of a friend, and this little book, that is a diary, when she got it, she says that paper has more patience than people, because we can express n number of things on the paper. The paper is not going to say that it's enough, don't write more, but people have no patience to listen to one another. So this is what she says. And she also tells about her family, that her family was very loving and caring, and she had a 16-year-old sister, very loving parents. Her father was a most adorable person, and she was sent to Montessori nursery school until she was 6. And she had a teacher there, Mrs. Couperus. And when she left this nursery school, Montessori school, literally that teacher had tears in her eyes at the time of her farewell. Now we are going to just look further what she says about in this lesson. Page number 51. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I'd better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. So she says that since no one would understand a word of my stories, that means whatever she used to pen down in her diary, nobody would understand, and she did not wanted this to share with anybody. So she says that why not I start writing my memories in those diaries. Usually we do that. Whatever good or bad memories we have or we have experienced in our life, we try to pen down in a diary. Those who have an habit of writing a diary, maybe some good moments, bad moments, or something which you have to pen down and keep it for your lifetime as a memory. So she says, if I were to plunk is nothing but just jump into writing that particular moment. She says, my father, the most adorable father ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister, Margot, was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926 and I was born on 12th June 1929. So she says about her father, she says that until he was 36, he did not marry, but at the age of 36, when he married to her mother, she was 25 years old, and then they got a baby girl, the first baby girl, that is Margot, her elder sister. She was born in 1926, and then Anne was born on uh, 12th June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. What is meaning of emigrated? Emigrated nothing but to leave one's own country and settle permanently in the other country. So he shifted. Her father had to emigrate, had to leave that place and settle into another country, that is Holland, in the year 1933 when she was 4 years old. Edith Hollander Frank, that is my mother. Her mother's name is Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margaret and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. So, until and unless things were settled, these two girls were left with their grandmother. Only her father and mother proceeded towards the other country, that is they emigrated to Holland. Once things were settled, they were called. Until then, they both stayed along with their grandmother. Which place? Aachen, that is a city in Germany. I and Margaret were sent to Holland in December. So Margaret went to Holland in December and I followed in the month of February. So she says now, first, Margaret went to her parents, that is her mom and dad, and later in the month of February, even I followed. When I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margaret. That means when Margaret went alone, she was totally bored sitting there at home. She wanted a younger sister along with her. And in the month of February, when Anne also came to Holland, that was a biggest birthday gift for Margaret. She was just she was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margaret. See, your sister is come for you, and this is your birthday present, she was told. I started right away at Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6. So, Montessori School is nothing but your initial age of schooling, your kindergarten, that is your nursery, LKG, and UKG. So, she went to Montessori Nursery School and she stayed there until she was 6 years old, at which time I started in the first form. That is, a first form is class 1. At the age of 6, she says that I started with class 1. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Kuperis, the headmistress. So she says, in the sixth form, that is in the sixth class, who was my teacher? Mrs. Kuperis. And she was also the headmistress of that particular school. At the end of the year, we both were in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. So, it is but obvious when you are there in the school and when you have an attachment or a bonding with your school, with your schoolmates, with your teacher, and when you are supposed to depart from them, now you are in 10th standard class, you'll be taking a farewell and departing from your schoolmates and your teachers. I don't know how many of y'all will cry, but it is but obvious that that attachment which you have with all these things, your classrooms, your your teachers or your schoolmates, make you feel that you become sad. So that feeling between, I mean, the bonding between a teacher and a student, she's saying that at the end of the year we both were in tears. That means that they started crying because they have to bid farewell to each other. In the summer of 1941, grandma fell ill and had to have an operation. So my birthday passed with little celebration. So she says, because of her grandmother, I mean, her grandmother was not keeping well, she was sick, and she had to go for an operation. So her birthday passed with little celebration. There was not a big, very big grand celebration about her birthday, just a small celebration they did because her grandmother was sick. Grandmother died in January 1942. So, see, in the year 1941, they operated her, and in the year 1942, she passed away. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. So, she was very attached to her grandmother. She used to think about her grandmother's love and affection. Okay, because we know that grandchildren are very close to their grandparents, they share each and everything, and after all, the grandparents tell them their their childhood stories, and then they feed them, they prepare some lovely dishes for their grandchildren. So this is the bonding between the grandparents and the grandchildren. So she says that nobody knows that how often I think about her. How often, in the sense, every time. I have not forgotten her. Every time I try to remember her because I still love her. This birthday celebration of 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. So in the year 1941, when she celebrated her birthday, that was, a mini birthday sort of. They did not have a very grand celebration, only because of her grandmother's health issue. But in the year 1942, when her grandmother passed away, when she celebrated her birthday in that particular year, her grandmother's candle also was lit along with other candles. Okay, in the name of her grandmother, an extra candle also was burned. That means on the cake, just for her remembrance and her blessings to Anne. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present day of June 20th, 1942. That is, in the year 1942, 20th June, she started writing her diary, and the solemn dedication of my diary. That is, a solemn is nothing but something holy, something sacred, because that diary was been gifted to her as a birthday present on her 13th birthday. And then she started writing her diary, and she thought that why not I write all my experiences, all my memories into that diary. So because she thought that diary is one such thing that I can write anything, nobody is going to stop me. And she considered her diary, that is Kitty, as her most adorable and close friend, a true friend, what she says. Now, dearest Kitty. Now from here she started writing her diary. Now we will see what did she share with us about her past life. What did she experience? What has she experienced in her life? She is sharing with us all this now. Our entire class is quacking in its boots. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. That means, she says now, our entire class is quacking. Quacking means nothing, they are all nervous, they are sad, they don't know what is going to happen. Why? Because they are thinking about the forthcoming meeting, that is the upcoming meeting in which the teacher is going to decide who is going to go to the next class and who is going to stay back. It happens when you have your result, you are scared. Oh god, I don't know whether I'll be passing or I'll be staying back. If you are confident enough that you have answered well, there is no need to worry. But there are few students, by luck, they are just passed, or else they are stayed back. So half of the class were worried about staying back, maybe because they have not answered well in their examination. So they were waiting for the teachers to announce the result. Half the class is making bets. Okay, they're saying they're making bets. Come on, you are passing or you're not passing. You'll be going to the next class or no. You have the bet, especially for the cricket match or any football match, and then you put some sum of money or something, in between your friends. So the full half of the class is making bets. GN and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jacobs. So these are the short forms which he has taken about the classmates who have staked their entire holiday saving on their bet. So she's saying now, this two fellows, CN and Jacobs, who have staked their entire holiday statements, they're doing the betting. Okay, they've been doing betting, saving their the entire holiday saving on their bet from morning to night. It's you're going to pass. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. So they are having a bet among themselves. He's saying now you are going to pass, but he's saying no, 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 I'm not going to pass. Saying no, you're going to pass. No, I'm not going to pass. So this is the bet what they are having among themselves. Even G's, them pleading glances and my angry outburst can't calm them down. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But the teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth. Now, this is something what she used to tell every time, that teachers are the unpredictable creatures on the earth. I don't know how many of you all believe this. Maybe says, yes, ma'am, it's true, but it's not true. Okay, she says because we don't know. Anything can happen. The entire class may stay back, the entire class may go to the next class, half of the class may fail, half of the class may go into the next class. We don't know because we cannot predict our teachers. That's what she says now. Teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on the earth, she says. Anything can happen. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself. Well, we'll make it. So saying, I'm not worried about myself and my other friends. We will make it because we know that we have answered well and we will be going to the next class. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. Many of y'all have this question mark. Maths means, oh, you say, I don't know why. Okay, so the same thing happened with Anne also. She says now, I'm not worried about my other friends, that is all the girls, and about myself. We will get through it. We will make it. But only thing, the only subject I'm not sure, I have a little bit of fear in my mind is what? Is about maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. So saying what we can do now, we cannot do anything. We have to just, you know, encourage each other, so not to discourage. Okay, don't worry, you will be passed. Don't worry, you will be passed. Why you're taking tension? Why you're worried? So just keep calm, and then the only thing we can do is wait until the results are announced. So this is what she says. I get along pretty well with all my teachers. Yes, she says, I get along. Get along in the sense, I don't have any problem with any of the teacher. I'm very happy with all my teachers, and whatever they say, I just go on doing it. So I'm just going on, I'm just keeping myself, cool and calm. And she says that I get along with everyone, with all my teachers pretty well. That is very good. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. So saying there are 9 teachers who come and teach us. And out of those are 7 of them are male, that is men, and 2 are ladies, that is 2 women. Mr. Casing, the old foggy. The old foggy is nothing but an old fashioned guy, that is old fashioned person who teaches maths. Now in school, they all, no, so many teachers are there. After all, you all are students, okay, and you must be also having one or the other, feel in your feeling in your mind. So, these many teachers are there, and I know that many students start keeping names for the teachers. Oh, that teacher, she's like that only. Oh, that ma'am, oh, she's like that only. Oh, that sir, he's always like that. So this is, students mentality. So the same thing she is sharing with us here. She's saying, Mr. Casing, that old foggy who teaches maths, oh god, she says, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. I think she was very talkative. She was very, very talkative. Though she was a very brilliant and good student and had good relationship with all the teachers except Mr. Casing, who used to teach maths, and he was always annoyed by her talkative nature. There are some students, they are very brilliant in the class, but they are so notorious, they are so talkative that they start irritating the teacher, and teacher also gets irritated with them. And there are very silent students also, though they don't do anything, but they're very quiet in the class. Okay, so teacher has to handle every unique student. Every student is unique for her, but there are variety of students in the class wherein the teacher has to handle. Now Anne was a good student and she had a very good rapport with all the teachers, but she had one problem with Mr. Casing, who taught her maths, and he used to get always annoyed with her. Annoyed means he used to get always angry on her because she used to always talk. Though it was told by him, and don't talk in the class, she used to not listen. Every time, bada, she used to go on. So that was her nature. That is a talkative nature. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework. So see, it happens. When you talk so much, at times you are thrown out of the class, you are being punished, kneel down, hands up, whatever it is. But still, if you don't improve, what happens? The teacher starts giving you some extra homework. So that till your hands pain, you go on writing, because your mouth doesn't pain, talking. And now the teacher gives you a extra homework, saying that this is your punishment. Until you complete this, you're not supposed to go home, or you have to complete and get it the next day. So the same thing was done with Anne. So she says, now because of my talkative nature, and after several warnings also, when she did not listen to him, he used to assign her the extra homework. And what was that? An essay, lengthy essay she has to write on the subject, a chatterbox. What is the meaning of chatterbox? The one who always talks so much, a very talkative creature. That's what she says now. An essay was given on the subject, a chatterbox. A chatterbox. What can you write about that? I'd worried about that later. I decided. I jotted down a title in my notebook, tucked in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. So you're saying, what is this? What type of topic sir has given me? A chatterbox? And what can I write about it? But she says, hell with that topic now. I don't want to think about it. I will decide it later. She just jotted down the topic in her notebook. She tucked it into the bag. That means she just put her bag on her shoulder, and then she just tried to keep quiet. I'll just look into this later, she said. That evening, after I finished, that evening, after I finished the rest of my homework, the notebook, the essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing a tip of my fountain pen. So, after doing all her work, the regular homework, she said to write the extra homework which was given to her as a punishment by her maths teacher. The first punishment was to write an essay on the chatterbox, and which she thinks was very weird. What to write on this? She was not understanding. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. So she says now, anyone could ramble on. That is, anybody can write lengthy essays. Once you start writing, automatically the matter comes to your mind, and then you go on writing. But she says the trick was to come up with convincing argument. That means she wanted to write such statements that when anybody reads the essay, they have to have People has to believe that. She says you have to come up with some convincing arguments. They need to convince, why people are so talkative, what makes them to talk. So when the reader reads, they need to understand the mentality behind that writer. So in such a way she wanted to write. And she says, I thought and thought, and suddenly I had an idea. So she started thinking and thinking. After a lot of time, she came to a conclusion. Then and she said that I had an idea. I wrote 3 pages. So initially, she was not understanding what to write. And then after a lot of thinking, she came to a conclusion and she wrote 3 pages. I wrote 3 pages. Mr. Casing had assigned me and was satisfied. So saying, oh, thank God, come on. I have written 3 pages, and at least now my maths teacher will be satisfied with what I have written. I argued that talking is a student's trait and that I would do my best to keep it under control. So saying, I had written in that talking is the student's trait. Student's trait means students write. If the student is not going to talk, he is going to sit dumb in the class. So this is a student right that student has to talk in the class. But she says, I would be cautious. I would do my best to keep myself under control. That means I will not talk much. I will talk, but my talkative nature, I will be controlling it henceforth. I will not talk much henceforth. This is what she wrote in her essay. But that would never be able to cure myself of the habit, since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more. Then there's not much you can do about inherited traits. So she's saying now, at present, I have written in the essay that she will try to better herself but cannot eliminate talking completely. That means she imagines about the topic and decides to present concrete arguments in support of talking, because talking is a student's right and she will control herself and keep it, she will be under control and she will not talk much in the class, she said. But she says it is inherited. That means it is come from my mother, because my mother also is very talkative, and she says it is very difficult for me to keep quiet in the class. So she writes that she will try to better herself, better keep quiet, be under control, but cannot eliminate talking completely. I cannot completely shut my mouth and sit, she says. I will have to talk, and this is my nature. How can I deny? And it's come from my mother, and it is already there in my blood. I cannot do that. For some time I can keep quiet, but not. And the same thing we see in the class also. There are so many students in the class, n number of times it is told by the teacher to keep quiet. For 2 minutes they will shut their mouth, again they will start with the talking nature. That means it is, they are already having that nature in them, and they cannot keep, I mean, they cannot shut their mouth. They cannot completely eliminate talking. So they have to talk and talk and talk. The same thing, and also shares with us. So she says, I cannot completely eliminate talking. Now, because it is a inherited traits. Mr. Casing has had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me the second essay. Now, the professor finds it amusing but allots another topic after she did not change her nature. That means Anne did not change herself. She said that I'm going to keep quiet in the class, but she says it is inherited quality which I've already got. I may keep quiet for some time, but I cannot keep my mouth shut forever. And she started. One day, 2 days she was quiet. Again, the third day she started with a talkative nature. And what happened? Mr. Casey, he assigned her the second essay as a punishment. And what was the topic now which was given to her? This time it was supposed to be on an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible means something that cannot be corrected. Because always they say, no, you are impossible, we say. You are, you cannot be changed. It's like that. So it's an incorrigible chatterbox. That means first was the chatterbox. That means because of your talkative nature. But now, incorrigible chatterbox means something which cannot be corrected. You are impossible, Anne. So you need to write an essay on this. I handed it in, and Mr. Casing had nothing to complain about the two whole lessons. However, during the third lesson, it finally had enough. Anne Frank, as a punishment for talking in the class, write an essay entitled Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. So, the next topic, the third topic as a punishment. Oh my god, this girl did not improve. She went on talking, talking, talking. And what happened now? Okay, the topic which was given for her incorrigible chatterbox, that means which refers to a habit that is difficult to change. And after keeping an eye on her, the professor, yes, who's talking? Please mute yourself. Mute yourself. Who is singing song? Playing some music. Mute yourself, children. Okay. The second punishment which was given to Anne was incorrigible chatterbox. That means the professor said that it is very difficult for Anne to change. And then he gave the third topic as an punishment to her. And what was that? Quack, quack, quack. Because you see, this ducks also every